truth lies somewhere in the middle. We've become so focused on being our children's friends that we've actually lost the other side of parenting, of authoritative parenting. Today, my team decided I should do something different, and they've lined up a series of TikToks for me to watch and respond to. But of course, we're going to be talking about parenting. And today, specifically, I'm going to be reacting to men's advice on TikTok. These are the top viewed videos on TikTok from men giving parenting advice. And let's see if I agree or disagree. And I would love to hear what you think in the comments below. Let's get started with the first one.
Number one rule of raising a child is don't be your child's friend, be your child's parent, okay? It's because what you say that goes. If you allow your kid to be your friend, they're gonna mush you up and they're gonna get away with everything. Yeah, you wanna have a good relationship with your child. However, make sure that they know there's a level of hierarchy that they're not part of. You are the boss. They're just living in your world, learning from every mistake you've ever made. You know what they used to say?
Okay, so let's pause right here. So right off the bat, I have to say that I used to find this idea of don't be your child's friend, be their parent, really difficult to stomach. And that's because I very much want to be close to my children. I want to have a meaningful relationship with them. I want them to know how much I love them, how much I'm there for them, that I am there to listen to them, that we do have a high level of companionship together. And I think I even made a video back in the day saying that one of the first rules of parenting was to both be your child's parent and to be their friend, and that you can't actually be an effective parent if you don't have a basis of friendship, which, you know, when I say friendship, what I mean is trust and companionship and connection and, you know, a sense of togetherness, a sense that you're on their team, you've got their back, you care about them, you like them, right? Those are the types of things that I think, you know, are symbols of friendship, that you actually, you know, are electing to be together. And that's really, I think, what differentiates friendship from family is that you don't choose your family, you choose your friends. And you can kind of have friends come in and out of your life in a much more fluid way than family and relatives, right? Those blood connections just have something that is beyond our choice. They're not elected. They're something we're born into. They're almost an immutable characteristic in a sense. And so the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And I think what this gentleman is saying is true, that we do have to have hierarchy and leadership and authority in the family. And I think that's something that's been really lost with the gentle parenting movement, is that we've become so focused on being our children's friends and then seeing us as loving, calm, connected, listening ear individuals, endlessly patient, endlessly sweet and sugary. And like we choose to spend time with them, like we choose to spend time with our friends. We want to be cool in their eyes. We want to be there for them. We want to, you know, be their go-to guy or girl. That we've actually lost the other side of parenting, of authoritative parenting, which is the side of the authority, which is the side where we're not your friend, which is the side that this isn't about an elective, fun relationship, that we do actually have to guide you and shape you and mold you and teach you things and hold you to particular standards. So I get what he is saying here.
He used to say to me as a kid, maybe 13, 14, 15 years old, if I would chime in an adult conversation, children should be seen and not heard. In other words, shut the up and listen. If they want to go out and make their own mistakes, then it's on them. But you got to drive that home. Raise your kid. Be there for them always. But be their parent more than you are their friend.
Okay, so this idea that children should be seen and not heard has certainly fallen out of favor. And it's not something I would ever say in my home. Even when I was growing up as a kid, it was already not considered a kind of kind or respectful way of relating to children, right? It was the idea that actually children should use their voices, should be able to stand up to authority, should be able to speak truth to power, and even that they have a seat at the table with the adults, that we want to listen to them, that we want to learn from them. Again, this idea too has gone, I think, too far in the other direction, where now I see parents who are uncomfortable telling their children not to interrupt adult conversation, right? Like two adults are speaking and a child pipes up and everyone just stops whatever they're doing and listens to the child. And I think that takes it too far in the other direction. This guy has a little bit of a rough way of saying things and it might come off a little bit aggressive or abrasive. But the point stands that children need to learn to respect adult conversation. They need to learn their place. You know, sometimes children pipe up with opinions on things they know nothing about politics, about money, about relationships, or they might just butt in to adult conversation, when it's not appropriate, where they do have to give the adults the space, where they do have to learn respect to their elders. And I think that is doing our kids a huge disservice if we don't teach them these skills. I do teach my kids that when adults are talking, they need to wait. It's not just adults, it's anyone. You don't interrupt anyone, right? And I do teach them that there's a time and a place for children to join a conversation, but much of the time they need to just listen and learn and not expect that their voice be platformed and centered and the most important voice in the conversation. So yes to friendship with our children, yes to children being seen and heard, and yes to what this guy is saying, where parents need to have authority and parents need to teach their children respect for elders, respect for culture, respect for others, and not make their children be the center of the universe. So yeah, overall, I think I agree.
Tell your kids that trust and the truth are the most important policies in family. No matter what happens, tell the truth, and there will be no punishment, but guidance, understanding, wisdom, and love. Namo Buddhaya.
Okay, so I absolutely agree that trust and truth are the best policies for our family lives. I think it's really important that our children learn that if they tell us the truth, even if the truth is ugly, even if they've done something wrong, even if they lied before, even if they stole, even if they got in trouble, that they won't be punished for speaking up, because we do need to create that very solid, trustworthy relationship with our children, where they know that we tell them the truth and we know that they tell us the truth, and that we really promote those values, that we stand by them, that we actually do the hard thing and control ourselves when our children are telling us a hard truth, so that we become the person that they can go to when they're in trouble, when they're having a hard time. If throughout their childhood we kind of reward lying by, for example, if our child lies to us about their, screen time usage or their sugar intake or what they did with their friends that day, then we're, pleased and content and kind of pacified. But if they tell us the truth about it, then we, come down on them like a ton of bricks. They're going to learn very quickly that it's better to lie. Lies are self-preservation. Lies are a sign that they aren't comfortable telling us the truth because they know they're going to be punished for the truth. So yes, I completely agree with this. I still think that it's also very important to maybe correct or teach or guide if they've come to us with the truth that isn't good, like they've done something wrong, they've lied, they've stolen, they've, not done their homework, whatever it is. I think it's okay to correct those behaviors and to teach them why that's not what we want. But still, it's a good idea to explicitly say, I'm really proud of you for telling me the truth. That wasn't easy to share the truth, and I appreciate it. I think the even more important part here is to tell your children the truth. And that's the harder part, in a way. It's much harder for us adults to not fib, to not lie, to be honest when it's not easy because we ate our kids' snacks, or because, we, stayed up watching a movie and they weren't allowed to join in and we have to just tell them the truth about that. Or whatever it is, we're going out and we're leaving them with a babysitter and we don't want them to know, but we're just going to be honest. The idea of sharing truths, even maybe mythological truths like the elf on the shelf or Santa, or the truth about what happens after we die, or about what we believe in our religion, or about previous relationships we've had. I mean, we don't need to expose every nook and cranny, every secret that we hold, every, aspect of our history, but just to be honest individuals that they can deem as trustworthy and that they know they can turn to us and that they can believe what we say. So yeah, totally.
If you keep bringing your child's awareness to the things that they're doing wrong, I can guarantee you they're going to keep doing them wrong. Does that mean we ignore their behaviors? No, it means that we have a disproportionate amount of focus on the things that they do right. We give as much energy and we pay as much attention to the things that are being done right, not the things that are being done wrong. Because whatever you pay attention to expands. This is the most humbling thing you'll ever hear. Kids are a direct reflection of the environment that they're in. Most parents want to go, no, it's not my fault, it's the kid's fault. I work with 3 of the top early developmental child psychologists on the planet, and every single one of them, their role is to work on the parents. They don't work on the kids, they work on the parents. The kids do nothing more than demonstrate the symptoms of whatever's being suppressed or repressed in the household.
Okay, so I think it's 100% true that what we draw attention to kind of persists, right? What we focus on. And if you're focusing on negative behaviors, that gives them a kind of negative reward, right? It encourages them, and they are likely to continue. However, I think often, at least I get very stuck in this trap because I do want to correct negative behaviors. I do want to teach my children how their mindsets might be wrong. I do want to coach them when they're getting stuck in cognitive fallacies, in black and white thinking, in unkind choices, in unwise choices, in procrastination, in chaotic behavior, messy behavior, right? I need to correct these things. And so I think that sometimes this positive parenting, gentle parenting idea of only focusing on the positive, I think it becomes a bit unrealistic, but also it doesn't necessarily serve us because we do also need to coach them to overcome, negative patterns and mistakes they might be making. So let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do we focus purely on positive behaviors and ignore the negative? Or do we also coach them and say, hey, is there another way you might be looking at it? You could be looking at this. Or is this behavior really serving you? Or I'm noticing that you keep talking to your sister in this way, and I think it's not in line with our values and not what I want to see from you. When is it appropriate, in your opinion, to use purely positive focus, and when do we also use focusing our attention on the behaviors that we actually want to fix?
I would say the big mistake parents make, and if I could help parents stop making this mistake, they would be better off. They need to understand that their child is going to learn from the outside world, whether they guard them or not. The question is whether their child trusts them or not. So don't make the mistake of being so protective over your child and restrictive as a result that you lose trust between you and your kid. You want your kid to come to you no matter what. You don't want to make that kid believe that if they told you everything that they've witnessed at school or experienced out in the world on their own, that they can't share it with you. Parents, you want your kid to be able to share with you pretty much anything. And if you're too restrictive, and if you're too, strict and restrictive, but if you're too strict, if you're too restrictive, what's going to happen is they won't tell you anything. And they won't think that you're the person that they need to go to when they have a problem. And
that's clearly true if you're too strict or too restrictive, or mostly, harking back to what we were speaking about earlier, if you kind of punish them for telling the truth, right? If you make it hard for them to share with you honest things because you rant, because you lecture, because you blow up, because you punish, because you overreact, you don't become a person that they want to trust with honesty and with what's really going on in their life. And that's not such a big deal when they're 6 or 7 or 8, but it becomes a really big deal when they're 15, 16, and 17, right? Those are the times when we do know that the stakes are much higher, the secrets are much worse, the consequences are much longer lasting of the things that they might be going through. And even in early childhood, there could be some serious consequences of not telling us the truth or not telling us what they're going through or not, coming to us. So yes, it's true. If you're too restrictive or too strict or too punishing, your child doesn't build a basis of trust and feeling, safe and relaxed and confident in you. And that's things like they've told you something and then you go and blast it out to the family or tell grandma about it and you betray their trust when they told you something in confidence. That's things like they've told you something and you immediately reprimand them or punish them or just tell them off or just shame them or just shut them down or interrupt them and say, oh, that was a stupid way of handling it, etc. And you don't really listen, right? Those are the times that they're not going to be able to build a real strong relationship with us, for sure.
That's the biggest mistake I see parents make. They're so strict and they're so restrictive, and they literally hover their child so badly that child now does not ultimately have the trust that they need to have. Why? Because that child knows that guy's going to overreact, that parent's going to overreact, that parent's going to judge, and you basically destroy the trust between you and your child.
So that's really interesting. I think it's all true, but I don't at all think that this is the mainstream issue of parenting. I don't at all think that this is what most parents are doing. In fact, I think most of us are falling way on the other end of the spectrum where we're not restrictive or strict enough, where we're all about the connection, the trust, the empathy. And I see that going way more in the direction of toxicity and, being overdone than the strictness and the standards and the rules. I kind of think like we are in a moment in history where we're very high on the support and very low on the expectations. So it's interesting that he sees this as the main issue of parenting today. That's not been my finding. Let's keep going.
Your kids want to have the best relationship with you that they possibly could have. Like they're 100% on board with that idea. Way more than anyone you've ever met in your life. And that means you could have the best relationship with your children that you've ever had with anyone. That's what they offer you. And it's up to you to realize that, and you could. And that's a hell of that's a good opportunity, man. You know, even if you've been beat around a lot and betrayed and hurt, you've got those little kids and they're thinking, what do you want to do, Dad? You know, and if you're bitter, they'll cut you to the quick and you'll hurt them. You don't want to do that.
Jordan Peterson in tears always gets me. It's such a moving moment of him really reflecting on the depth of his relationship with his kids and on the potential of our relationship with our kids. And here's something I really relate to about this is understanding the absolute immense potential that this relationship has. One of the things that I always share is that I think family is the most meaningful project of our lives. And I think with kind of late wave feminism and whatever is in our culture right now, often parenting just gets this really bad rep. It just seems like it's all about self-sacrifice. It's a waste of money. It's bad for the planet, whatever. All these different rules and ideas about why parenting is bad and why being a mom is a waste of human potential and being a mom is lesser than developing your career in other ways. And it means that you are just, giving up on yourself as the narrative goes. And I've always found that the absolute opposite is exactly true. That in fact, parenting is the most meaningful place to fulfill your aspirations, to develop your self-growth, to develop your character, your values, the culture that you want around you, your leadership skills. That being a parent offers all of that because of exactly what Dr. Peterson is saying here, because of the potential of the relationship, right? The relationship with your children is thus that it is so consuming, that it is so powerful, that you have so much influence. You have so much more power in that relationship than you have in any other area of your life to influence the future, right? To build something of meaning, to be impactful, to shape the way the world looks. And so, yeah, it's not just for them, right? It's not just what you do for them. It's not just them looking at you and saying, what do you want to do, Dad? Right? And the idea that they are so into you and so interested in you and so connected to you and looking up to you, so adoringly. But it's so much for you as well, right? I have found that this has been so much the place where I feel a sense of growth and meaning in my life.
We often think that the greatest thing we can give our kids is to be available 24/7, 365 for every need and every second and everything. I think the greatest gift we can give our kids, besides obviously food, water, shelter, and presence, is a peaceful home.
Yes, and absolutely a peaceful home, a solid, inspiring, even passionate marriage for them to look up to and grow in the home of two loving, committed, loyal, invested parents. A peaceful home in that we solve conflicts, in that we communicate, in that we have routine and schedule and stability and a great culture at home. Home feels atmospheric and warm and cozy and cuddly and safe and all of those things. Yes. But I again, don't know that this is the greatest gift without the other side of the coin. I just think that in parenting, we keep swinging all the way to this empathy place, let's call it, right? To the gentle parenting, to the peaceful parenting. The peaceful home is the greatest gift. But I also happen to think that kids really need resilience. They really need competence. They really need the capacity to withstand stress and understand grief and loss and get through things. And so sometimes when people say things like this, like the greatest gift you can give your kid is a peaceful home, I just want to say, yes, give them that, but don't give them that at the expense of also helping them to develop their resilience, right? Because if you grow up in a very, very cushioned, peaceful home without expectations, without the ability to handle frustrations, disappointments, setbacks, then you will suffer from all of the ailments of modern prosperity, which are the anxieties, the depressions, the self-harm, etc., etc. So even though you had a peaceful home, you're still not going to be a peaceful adult or a peaceful individual because you yourself have no backbone, have no shoulders, aren't able to withstand difficulties. And so, I feel kind of half all in on this message. All right. So those were our top parenting advice from men on the TikTok algorithm. Those are the pieces of advice that floated to the top. And I feel that overall, these were all, pretty good videos. I actually agreed with the main, ideas in each one. I just caution because I think that sometimes when we're making videos, we want them to be bombastic, we want them to be clickable, and so titles like the best parenting advice or the only thing your child ever needs are the types of things that come up. But the truth is that children need quite a lot of different things, and balance. And those things are less sexy in video titles, but they are necessary. Let me know what you think. Which piece of advice stood out to you? What do you think about the videos that we've just watched? What would you like to see me react to next? And make sure to hit the subscribe and like button here on Hi Fam. Bye.